Could RFK Jr. become the 2024 version of Ross Perot? Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Robert Francis Kennedy Jr., RFK Jr., potentially running as an independent third-party candidate for president in 2024. Now, this is really big news, and I'm not quite sure who it's going to help or who it's going to hurt. Now, I mentioned Ross Perot at the beginning of the video. Now, a lot of you guys who are very young, you may not know who that is, and if you're my age or older, you know exactly who it is. Regardless of where you are on your Ross Perot knowledge, I'm going to give you a brief recap. Then we're going to get into more about RFK Jr. Back in 1992, the race was between Bill Clinton and George H.W. Bush. Now, H.W. Bush was the incumbent, and he was also the the vice president under Ronald Reagan. But as president, he wasn't really that popular. Read my lips, no new taxes. That was a lie. So people were kind of hungry for another person. Enter Ross Perot, had a lot of money, was kind of charismatic, kind of goofy. He did not win any electoral votes that year, or 1996 for that matter. But in 1992, in the race between Slick Willie and George H.W., he got 18% of the popular vote. I think that was enough to dilute any kind of lead or advantage that George H.W. may have had, which allowed Slick Willie to become the president in 1992 and 1996. And then that brings us Hillary Clinton and the whole cabal. So RFK Jr. could play that role in this election 2024. Now, the question is, who is he going to help or hurt? Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Democrats, Republicans? I can't really tell, because if you didn't quite understand or realize, RFK was running as a Democrat. So that's going to be an issue. And before I go any further, let's go ahead and get into a news clip from The Hill. If you want to see this clip in full without my commentary, link as always will be in the description. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Welcome back. There is a new report out this afternoon involving Robert F. Kennedy Jr. that could potentially scramble the 2024 presidential race. The news website Mediaite is reporting that RFK Jr. plans to announce he will run as an independent on October 9th in the state of Pennsylvania. Take this at face value if the report is true. First off, you're sitting back going, whoa.
That's a huge problem.
For
the president, for President Biden.
Why?
Listen, anytime you have more people in this race that folks have a choice on between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, it's problematic for Joe Biden. Donald Trump activated so many people. We saw the highest turnout election, in 100 years, mostly because of Donald Trump, not because of Joe Biden in 2020. That was a reaction to Donald Trump. So, again, if you've got Cornel West running on a party line, if you've got Robert Kennedy running on a party line, that's problematic for Joe Biden.
What about?
Now, I don't think Cornel West will do any kind of damage at all. I don't think he is relevant at all, but I think that might be their man over on the Hill. But RFK has a lot of popularity, going on Joe Rogan, talking about vaccines and a lot of different things he's been talking about. So he's gained quite a bit of popularity. Now, I don't know if RFK Jr. appeals more to disillusioned Joe Biden voters or if he appeals to disillusioned Trump supporters. I can't really tell.
About the idea maybe that some of his views, he had unfavorable ratings with Democrats, some of his views more aligned with Republicans, so maybe it could actually hurt Donald Trump, pull in that direction.
I find something very hard to believe Trump voters right now voting for the son of Bobby Kennedy in American
and plus
politics.
Those voters already have a home in the Libertarian Party, right? I think this is a problem. In fact, I've talked to a former head of the DNC and before this happened, and he was already concerned about the Cornel West thing and the Green Party thing.
And the no labels thing, too, potentially.
Well, and the no labels, I think, is a little bit different just because I have seen the data, and I happen to believe that we'll pull evenly from both parties. I may not be in the majority of that, but I think there is data to back that up. But the DNC person was simply saying, look, go back and look at Florida. We've all know the stories. Yeah. Look at Florida in 2000. Look at Michigan in 2016. They were minuscule Republican wins, and they turned the tide of an election. This just adds to that complexity.
We've learned. Now, one thing about it, what he's talking about as far as minuscule, margins of victory is very important, because when you have some states that may be decided by 5,000 votes, 2,000 votes, 1,000 votes, very, very razor thin margins, every single vote counts. Every vote counts. So if you have RFK Jr. pulling from the Democrats at all, even if not some kind of monstrosity of a number, it could be 10,000 votes. That right there could change the entire election. And then you have Cornel West, you got no labels, you got all kind of other things going on. This is an issue.
A lot of lessons from that, though, as Democrats. On, let's see, October 9th is when he's supposed to announce. October 8th, they will drop the holy hell of Oppo research on him.
I mean, what else is
people
out
care?
there, though, on
Yeah,
Bobby
what do
Kennedy? I mean,
people
we
care?
know his views. He's,
But like
he's
Democrats
out there
aren't.
on
Does it
all
make a
things.
difference in this thing?
In Democrats, it does. It wouldn't make a difference with Republicans.
Didn't we just have a conversation about a candidate in Northern Virginia running for state house doing public sex tapes? I mean, does it really matter for you folks?
But it's a state legislature race. I think that's a little different. Like, when you're talking about someone running for president, one, I don't think Democrats take him seriously anyway. But I think when you Oppo dump on him and make him so toxic that no one, even people who are politically
Between
affiliated,
15 and 20% of people polled take him serious.
But
But to your point,
90%
as
of
more
people believe
Democrats get to
anything.
know his actual views, his numbers go down.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask
Michael's
you.
point.
Can I ask you a question about what does this do to a Joe Manchin race?
I mean, Joe Manchin is going to make a decision just for Joe Manchin's interests, not.
I don't think Joe Manchin has a chance at all. And I'm not necessarily anti-Joe Manchin. I kind of like Joe Manchin from my home state, obviously West Virginia, but I don't think he really has a chance.
Analyzing the field whatsoever. I think at the end of the day, Joe Manchin's got $14 million in the bank and wants to be a player, and I think runs for re-election in West Virginia.
Ooh, really?
Really?
100%.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I was out in West Virginia a few weeks ago.
Independent, did you say?
I was out in West Virginia a few weeks ago with Shelley Moore Capito, bipartisan, and the fact that Joe Manchin is showing up at local community events, going to local parades, it is an indication that he's looking at home and not at national
That's
office.
fair. That's fair. But you had me up until that last sentence, which is he's going to do what's right for Joe Manchin. He's got $14 million. He wants to be president, and he sees maybe the no labels avenue as a way to do that. I don't.
There's no true path forward. If you're running for president and you realize, like, everybody knows right now, Trump has the Republican side sewn up. Biden has the Democrat side sewn up. Unless he just cannot continue, then they're going to try to put in Gavin Newsom at the 0 hour. They may do that anyway, even if he can't continue, because he'd be the better candidate, obviously. But everybody knows, even me right here at home, I know that no third-party candidate has a true chance of being able to actually succeed. You're running for a different reason. And if Joe Manchin runs as a Democrat, there's no chance, because Joe Biden is a front runner. Then behind him is Gavin Newsom. So there's no avenue forward for Joe Manchin, although I kind of like him.
I happen to think anybody in this country is clamoring for Joe Manchin to be president.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a disaster, but Joe Manchin probably doesn't see it that way. That's the first person I've had. By the way, it makes perfect sense. If he's working hard at home, that's a good indicator, but that's the first I've heard of that.
There you go. You heard it here.
I don't like Joe Manchin. I've made that very clear, but I don't think he's stupid. And what he doesn't want to be remembered for is handing the torch to Trump again.
Yeah.
And so I don't see a world where he runs for president.
And I think he personally likes the president.
That's not a bad pitch if you want to be the president of West Virginia University. I gave the presidency to Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, smart. Thinking in, a few steps ahead here.
Is that a play?
Joe Manchin.
That is, yeah. He's being,
That's one of the possible jobs for him that folks have talked about on his way out.
Thanks for watching.
So there we have it. That's the take from the Hill. So RFK Jr., third party, I think he has a really good chance of making a difference in the race. Becoming the president, no. But like I said, he could become Ross Perot. Play the spoiler role. Ross Perot didn't win any electoral votes in 1992, but I think he changed the election. He paved the way for Bill Clinton to win because he took votes away from George H.W. He may have taken some from Bill Clinton, but really it was George H.W. He was in a vulnerable situation. People wanted a change. He was not Ronald Reagan, although he was Ronald Reagan's VP. No new taxes. That was a lie. So it was like, okay, let's go a different direction. And then that's what happened. It could be the same thing here. Joe Biden, okay, no student loans. I'm going to cancel that. That didn't happen. We got crazy inflation. So the border wide open. Natural disasters, all this and that and the third. Although he's not to blame for natural disasters, but it doesn't really matter. When you go out there and say, oh, we're going to tackle climate change and all that kind of stuff, and people really believe in that type of thing, and what you say doesn't come to fruition, although it was never going to happen, people are like, well, what's going on? I'll vote for a different guy. Why not vote for RFK? I saw him on Joe Rogan. I saw him on Twitter doing push-ups and sit-ups and everything else. Why not vote for him? The name Kennedy is very familiar. So why not? I think that could happen. And I think an RFK Jr. independent run would hurt Biden more than Trump, although we could take votes away from both sides. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on RFK Jr. running as an independent? Would it hurt Trump? Would it hurt Biden? Does he have a chance to be able to actually win and become the president from an independent point of view? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I think that this would most certainly pave the way for Trump to become the president, because I think he has enough support to take votes away from Biden. And you're going to have some very tight races in the country. This is going to be a hard race for both Joe Biden and Donald Trump, or whoever the nominee is, to win. It's going to be hard. And when you have a guy with a lot of support like RFK Jr. does, that's going to make the race a little bit more lopsided in favor of one of the big dogs versus the other. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.